Hello everyone, Taylor here from Retail Empire. Thank you for joining me today. And today we are going to share with you a purchase order. How is the purchase order looking like? What are the terms? What are we doing when we receive the actual purchase order with any amount of quantity and volume that the retailer wants to buy from us? This is like really the insider that no one is sharing and you will not see it anywhere else. So today we're going to share a RiteAid purchase order, and allow me to hit the button of opening sign and we're going to go ahead and start. Okay, so here we go. Today we're going to talk about RiteAid purchase order. Yes, this is a retailer with about 1,250 stores, something like that. Well, more than 1,000 stores is quite a huge organization, isn't it? So today I'm going to share with you how the purchase order looks like from the inside. And before we do it, let me just tell you that I'm going to show you whiteout version of the purchase order because I obviously cannot share with you the vendor name. I don't have any permission to do so. And with that said, we're gonna right away dive into the PDF and show you how the purchase order looks like. This is one purchase order out of 4, and this specific one contains about $28,000 amount. Okay, something like that. We're gonna see it in a second. Where are we? Here we go. This is the purchase order. So as you can see, on the top left, there is RiteAid Corporation, and then you have the order number, which you're going to use later when you're entering details into the system. What system? I'll explain shortly. Purchase order type. This is a standalone order original. Although it's 1 out of 4, it considers as a standalone one, which means it's not a blanket order. A blanket order is when you receive an order divided into a couple of few different shipping frames. Shipping frames means, let's say that the first order, this one by the way is from November 24 and was supposed to be delivered on January 7, 2025. And if it was a blanket order, then you would see a few more dates right here, 4, 5, 6 of them, whatever the retailer wants to order. And that means that you would see here January 7 and then March 18 and then June 20 and so on and so on. But that's not the case because it's a standalone. They don't know if they want to order after these 4 purchase orders. The buyer name or the partner is Westbay Kelly. That's her phone number. Please do not use it. Currency, obviously it's US dollar, but it's not mentioned here. And then ship to. This is very important, where you're going to ship the goods. This is what basically you're showing your warehouse, your 3PL, whomever is handling your shipment. Some of the vendors are doing it in-house, so they just want to mark this address on their side. There's a difference between the ship to and bill to. With small stores, it's going to be probably the same, but when it comes to retailers, especially like RiteAid, you're going to build the company headquarters, but you're going to ship the company warehouse location, or at least one of them. Some of the retailers have more than one location of warehouse. Okay, and then before we dive into the actual purchase order, you're going to see here a PO date, which was again November 24, and shipping date, requested delivery date. Now, as you can see, there's requested ship date, which is empty. So it's the same like delivery date, that's why it's empty. But cancel date means, right here on the right side, means that they didn't write the cancel date, so they didn't plan to cancel at any point. But let's say a vendor should ship, like in this order, on January 7, and they have, for whatever reason, a delay, and they are, let me mute my phone so we don't have any interruptions today. Let's say they want to ship it 3 days after the delivery date because of whatever reason. In that case, they're going to need to look at the cancel date. And if the cancel date is, let's say, January 14, they can still ship it until the 14th. Now you have to make sure that you know if the delivery date is delivering date from your warehouse or arrival date on the warehouse of the retailer. Which one of them? Normally it's the delivery date from your warehouse, and then when goods are shipped and you're sending the documents, that's where the document's going to indicate the shipping date with a bill of lading or airway bill. It depends if it's by air or by truck in the USA. When was it dispatched from your warehouse? Okay, pretty clear, pretty easy. Let's move forward. Department number is not mentioned here. I guess they don't really care. Vendor number is the vendor number that you established with them when you did the onboarding. If you want to know what is onboarding, you will have to wait for my next video, because it's gonna be a video about this specifically, how to onboard with a retailer, which is different from company to company, not the brand, the retailer. Okay. And then the vendor, as I mentioned before, I white out the vendor full name just for, confidentiality reasons. And let's go to freight terms. Prepaid by seller. This is what was agreed between the buyer and the vendor. That means that you as a vendor are paying for the shipping. And the origin is shipping point. Shipping point is your 3PL, warehouse, home, wherever you're shipping from. Backyard, garden, from your car, from your van, from your bus, wherever you ship from. And terms type is basic. Terms basis, invoice date. Okay, terms description percentage and so on. What is important here is the net days. That means how many days after they receive the goods they are obligated to pay you. And as you can see here, it's 30 days. Net 30 days. Net means because there are days that are not considered as working or business days, such as Sunday, holidays, President Day, Christmas, Halloween, whatever reason there is. So net days 30, and then you have the actual purchase order. So right here there's line number and then SKU number. This is internal SKU. Internal means that normally this is the vendor SKU number, but sometimes it could be the buyers, the retailers SKU number. It doesn't really matter for you. What is matter is that you want to see the UPC or GTIN, UPC normally, to make sure that it's matching what you have in your record. The UPC number is crucial because you don't want to make mistake and send them the wrong item, right? It's going to be a mess. You don't want that to happen. Anyway, and then description line item. Again, I removed the company name because the company name was written here on every row. And then you have pack, which is packed 12 pieces a carton, inner pack only 1, and then the weight, the volume, and then you have marks and numbers, which is empty obviously, and then you have unit cost, retail price. Unit price is $144. This is the retail price, not the wholesale price. Is it? Yes, no, it's the cost. I'm sorry, this is the cost. And then you have quantity 49. So the total item will be 7,056, which is what they are going to pay you. Okay. Unit of measure, UOM, is case. They measure that by cases. It doesn't really matter. And then another row, another row, another row, until you see the end of this type, service, rate, quantity, and so on. And then you have the full amount right down here, 28,000 whatever dollar. Okay, but before that, as you can see here, there are terms written here. Now it's written in a very, very unnicely way. Okay, attention, write it. You need to write it better and easier. You want to be vendor friendly because you want the vendors to have fun working with you. So what I did here, I just took this text, copied that, and moved it into ChatGPT to summarize nicely and clean to me, so I know what is it talking about. Now, as you can see here, there's a URL which supposedly you would not even look at, but it is interesting because it says commerce.spscommerce.com, etc., etc. And SPS Commerce is an EDI provider. If you look at our Moms and Pop Store Academy and other videos, previous videos, you would know that EDI is a system that is connecting between you and the buyer. Very easy. You do not send any purchase sales order or get any purchase order or send any invoice or anything else, ASN for instance, by email. You do everything by the EDI. It's just, I would say, a CRM, a very stupid, simple CRM. Excuse my French. Now, by the way, I just mentioned ASN. ASN is what we call Acknowledge Shipping Notice. It's a document, very basic one, saying, hello, warehouse of RiteAid, TJ Maxx, Walmart, whomever you are. We are shipping the following items to your warehouse tomorrow, next week, next month. And why do you want to have ASN in place? Because you don't want their warehouse to come up in the morning and say, oh, there's a shipment here from whatever, John's Toys or whatever you call your brand. You don't want to get them surprised, because if they're going to be surprised, they have the right to reject this shipment, which is going to cost you a lot of money, and you don't want that to happen. Anyway, that's why you have ASN in place, and they approved ASN on SPS Commerce, the EDI, right? Now, what I did, as I mentioned earlier, I took this text right here, which is pretty much a mess, and I'm going to share with you how it looks like when you ask GPT, and allow me to use my glasses because I'm literally seeing nothing when it comes to the browser. I asked them, organize this text for me in an easy way and mark it by points. And here you go. Control shipment. Vendor is responsible for selecting carrier, ensuring carrier performance, and covering all delivery related charges. We've seen that before in the PO terms, right? And then inbound prepaid shipment, again, it's the same, actually the same thing said in a different way. And then routing instruction, you're going to want to know how to route your goods, but you don't need it for yourself. You're not the one who is handling this. This is the point where you start moving the information into your 3PL and warehouse. They need to be in charge of this. You can summarize this for them. This is what I was doing. You can put it in a nice document, a Word doc, an email, whatever it is, point by point, just to make sure that they are aware of everything. But eventually it's their responsibility and their job to do it. Whether it's pick and pack type of purchase order or bulk or unpacked, whatever the customer wants you to ship to them. Delivery appointment, this is the ASN. Okay, this is, now the ASN is not mentioned here, it's mentioned on another document, but when they say delivery appointment, they are talking about ASN because you need to tell them that goods are coming. Modification to terms, any changes to standard purchase order terms must be in written and signed by both you and RiteAid. Hey, if you're going to change the delivery date for whatever reason down the road during the process, you want to have their signature on this change. Otherwise, they're going to say, hey, look at this chapter. We didn't sign that. You are delaying, and therefore we're going to charge you for this delay. You don't want that to happen. Okay, penalties is definitely something that nobody wants to deal with, and there's no reason as long as you're doing things properly and it's not a big deal to do so. Additional policies, purchase order, issuance, and then to access the guide, visit RiteAid, scroll the corporate, blah, blah, blah. Now, if I click on RiteAid, because my IP is not a US one, the site is not available. So what I did, I just wrote RiteAid compliance guide in here, and boom, here I got the entire file that I need. Okay, so there's no access to RiteAid.com, but to raportal.riteaid.com there is indeed access. Okay, and if there's any issue still with any IP, you can always tell someone that you know from the US or other place to ask and search it for you, or to ask the buyer, hey, I'm blocked on my country for this. Can you please send me attached file of the terms? Now, as you can see here, this is out of 6 out of 47 pages. I'm not going to read 47 pages. This is way too long and tiring. I used to read those files, and you know what? It took me hours. it killed my time, and I was left always with questions, doubts, and issues. Although I was reading this, not only myself, but also my team. This is what happened to me. So if you want to avoid that, you gonna use the most popular tool these days. And obviously I'm talking about AI. So I went back to AI here after the general terms that was showing up from the summary of the PDF file terms. And I asked, now summarize this compliance guide. Okay. Welcome aboard. We don't care. Merchandise, magic, item and currency. UPC is something you have to consider, that you do have UPC 12-digit type of barcode. New item launch is not for us. Quality and testing. The only thing that I would take from here is the Prop 65. Prop 65 is something that some of the companies are asking for. I'm going to talk about it shortly. And then again, electronic trading, EDI. Ethernet Database Interchange stands for EDI. They use SPS Commerce. They specifically use this company, which is one of the most known one in the industry of EDI. There was a couple of sessions we did with SPS Commerce. I think last year we spoke with them live. It should be somewhere in my YouTube. I'm gonna pull it up for you guys, and if I can, I'm gonna drop it in the comments. But not promising anything. Source tagging, shipping and routing, very important to know how you are supposed to ship, what type of packaging, how you schedule, do they need any specific cart or marking, and ask yourself and the warehouse the biggest question you can: what about pallets? Do I need to palletize the shipment or not? In most of the cases, you don't need to, but still you want to ask it. By the way, with Costco, you will need to palletize them, but it's a different type of pallet, and we're going to talk about it separately because it's a huge topic, specifically with Costco. Account payable means the guys who are paying you. Okay, streamlined process for setting up supply files, processing invoices, and understanding payment policies. I'm not going to dive into this really now, but as you can see here, these are the topics that you should consider. They are not clearly mentioned here, but this is what you want to consider. So you can always go back here for any specific thing that you want to see. And by the way, if you look at pricing, for instance, supplier must provide 60 days notice for permanent price change. This is something you want to know. Okay. This is about notification of changes. So you just quickly go on this and say, okay, I don't plan to change any of this. So here we go. Next thing. Now, if you're not selling food, beverage, candy, snacks, you don't care about all these things, but you do want to look at your own category if it's here at all. So this is mainly for food, and probably most chances this is not what you're selling. And if it is, then you need to look at it. And then you have SPS contact. Now, here's something very good about SPS and EDI in general. SPS target is to translate. Yes, it's a translator. It's the best translator on earth. And why is that? Let's say you get an order from RiteAid, TJ Maxx, Walmart, and Costco at the same time, or in the same quarter. Okay, all the four orders will go through the buyers into SPS Commerce, but they are going to be transmitted to you in only one version. What does it mean? This type of order that we've just seen, the type of order that suits RiteAid, this is what you're going to receive from RiteAid all the time. But if you look at TJ Maxx order, it's completely organized in a different way. The terms are not in the PO, but in another file. It's a complete different story. But you as a vendor do not want to study each and every retailer you work with and start from scratch every time, right? That's where SPS steps in. They translate the PO for you in the same terms all the time. So once you learned it for one time, that's it. You know it all the time. And they make it easier. And third, most important point, they give you alerts. Hey, you need to send an SAN. Your purchase order delivery date is within 2 weeks. You need an ASN. They're going to send you notification. Hey, you need to send an invoice because you want to get paid for it. Hey, you need to send that, to send this, send whatever it is, they're going to notify you, which is very comfortable to work with. Okay. That's why SPS Commerce is in place, both for you and for the buyers, because they cannot handle hundreds or thousands or more orders on just, by notes or Excel chart or whatever it is. They need that system. So do you. Now, there was another term that I mentioned here, which was Prop 65. Prop 65 is a standard. You probably heard about CE or UL or any other type of standard, which is by country and by area. Prop 65, however, is specifically a standard that is only for California. So as long as any company plans to sell their products in New York, in Ohio, in Chicago, wherever, but also in California, by law, they need to apply and comply with Prop 65. Now, it sounds bombastic. It's not. The only thing you need to know is that you need to handle this to your supplier. Tell them, hey, we need Prop 65. Usually it costs about $40 to $80. The highest price I've seen for a product going through Prop 65, which usually takes no more than 10 to 15 days, was $100. It's not a lot when you consider orders like this. This is $28,000 order out of 4 purchase orders that are overall together coming up to something like 60,000, if I remember correctly, specifically with this retailer. So yeah, just keep in mind that Prop 65 is something that sometimes comes up and you should be aware of. This is it. This is the purchase order. I gave you some guidance on that. I gave you some, a quick view how it looks like. We talked about a few terms, but keep in mind that it's changing from a retailer to retailer. If you don't want to use any EDI company, you could probably work with some of the retailers, not all of them, because some of them are considering EDI as an obligation. And if that's the case, you will have to work with EDI. How much does it cost to have an SPS Commerce account? Well, it depends what type of account you have, but normally it doesn't go over $60 to $80 a month, every month. Now you would say, hey, wait a second. What if I get orders this month and next month nothing? Then I'm paying for EDI for nothing, right? That might be true, but then you have other EDI companies that are working by the order, meaning no orders, no payment. Have order, you pay. That's it. You pay by the order. There are companies like that. By the way, Spring Systems, you can Google that. Spring System is a type of EDI company that works with probably all of the retailers, if not most of them. I should have said it vice versa. Most of the retailers, if not all of them. And they are working by the PO and you don't pay them anything monthly. Okay? There is a monthly option if you work with retailers on a monthly basis, ongoing business, which is more, cheaper, I would say, for a vendor, but still they could do both ways. So thank you for listening. And just before I go, don't forget to crack that like button and kick that subscribe button right there. And here's a ritual song that we created recently. Enjoy it and have a good one.
Retail wins again.
A fun, upbeat.
Blue walking in the store. What do I see? Amazon brands right in front of me. Shelf so stocked, yeah, looking so fly. From click to cart to real life buy. Ding ding, another sale today. Retail wins, hip hip hooray. From online hustle to aisle display, brick and mortar's here to stay.
another retailer would say, oh, this is a perfect time. Can I see samples and pricing, please? It's as simple as that. So for that,
Ding, ding, another sale today. Retail wins, hip, hip, hooray. From online hustle to out of play, brick and mortar's here to stay.
It's bigger when it comes to change the workload is bigger as well. That's number one. Number two.